So, what about that Chinese food?
That was awesome, actually.
I know.
I enjoyed it a lot.
And of course, a fortune cookie.
You got a fortune for us?
Oh my God. For good fortune, watch TFT Tarot for today. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Oberon.
If he got that in his fortune cookie.
It's right here.
How is everybody today? Hopefully enjoying the beautiful... Well, in Michigan, we're having absolutely beautiful weather. It was a gorgeous day today. I got to spend some time outside on my lunch break. I did some writing, which was awesome. Sat by the pond at work. Very nice day.
And we are already joined today by
Smiling Soul says hi to the
one
kitty.
of our friends, and Kitty probably would say hi back to you, or you know how cats are, maybe they won't.
And we do have another cat on the table. Unfortunately, she is not in view right now, but maybe she will make an appearance. It's our cat, Shadow. And we call her Shadow, even though her name is Shadow, because she's special.
And with the help of our producer, we are going to zoom in on her.
Well, I want to tell you what my real Chinese fortune says for today.
Hold on.
Oh,
See?
There's our kitty Shadow.
That black lump over there is actually a cat. It's not a meatloaf that got
absolutely
overburnt
gorgeous.
or something.
A bold and dashing adventure is in your future within the year. Isn't that exciting? I hope it's true. I hope it's true.
My real fortune, since somebody wants to know, said, opportunity awaits you next Monday. Oh, that's when we're going to get like hundreds of subscriptions to our YouTube channel, right? Come on, everybody, subscribe. I just heard that one of my friends has 200 subscribers on their channel, so I know we can beat that. Let's do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am in top form tonight because I'm off work till Tuesday. Yes.
Me too.
Yes. It's going to be a great weekend.
But just to recap, we are Oberon and Banshee, and we're longtime tarot readers who have decided to take our show live and do this broadcast. We broadcast twice a week, Thursday nights like tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then on Sundays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And we're going to do a bit of reading for people. We're also going to do some readings for things in the news. I'm thinking today I'm a little bit concerned about what's happening down south with the hurricane coming, and I might do a little reading on that today.
Hurricane Dorian?
Hurricane Dorian. I did a preliminary reading the night before.
Doesn't that sound like a lord of the underworld?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'll get more into that later, my little preliminary reading from last night. But we're going to start talking about, we do want to start our broadcast every time, at least for the foreseeable future, to promote our Tarot for Tomorrow on our Facebook page and talk about some of the cards we pulled in the last few days to see if they resonated with either of us.
That's right. When we were here on Sunday last, we reviewed the cards from Thursday through Sunday. So now we're going to review the cards from Monday through today.
Yeah.
So on Monday, we pulled a reversed Eight of Pentacles. And one of the things I felt was that boded challenges for that day around the workplace mostly. And It's possible that some of you might feel the boss or coworkers being extra critical of your work or just disagreeable in your interactions. So take care to explain things as calmly as possible and use your skills or follow rules and protocols properly.
I can't say that totally applied. Nobody was really getting down on me for my work. But I do think I had some rather disturbing news on Monday that upset me. So I will say in that regard, it was disagreeable for sure. So I was not a happy camper Monday in the workplace. So I do think there was some bearing there with that card for me.
Shall we move to Tuesday then?
Tuesday with Moon in Cancer, I mentioned how much there was a lot of water energy that day. And that maybe when you shower, you should just think thoughts of the water just draining all that negativity off of you so you could start a good day. Negativity particularly from the day before if anything was affecting you at the workplace. And so I tried that, and actually I had a very peaceable Tuesday. I think my day went really smoothly. I got so much done, and I felt good about it.
Well, for Tuesday, I felt that the Temperance card, which was upright, presented to me the idea that equilibrium had actually happened, had been established, and that was not a subtle change, but a stronger change. So there was that. Let's move on to Wednesday.
Well, Wednesday, I have to say, we pulled the,
Thank you for that update. So you're down there, or you just heard that? That's great, Smiling Soul. We're hoping
she lives
that
there.
everything works there.
Yeah, we're hoping the best for you, honestly. And don't be alarmed at anything I say in the tarot tonight or with my preliminary reading. But just, of course, be prepared. That's all I can tell you. I understand, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature, and she's going to do what she's going to do. And we've just got to prepare ourselves.
And we know a lot of folks in Florida, too, through various organizations or friendships that we have. So we are hopefully extending a little bit of calmness for the storm, hoping that nobody goes through what they've gone through in recent storms.
Yeah. So you do live there. Yeah, that's awesome. Florida's a wonderful place. I've been there a few times now on some trips related to my job, and I'm very impressed. However, I have to say, I am asthmatic, and sometimes the humidity really gets to me. So that's my problem with Florida. Otherwise, I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Back to our
Yes.
weekend update or update.
Weekly update.
For Wednesday, we had a reverse devil, and that card, it's like the opera, everybody sees it like, oh,
It's true.
It always has a strong meaning when it shows up. And so what I felt it forsaged for Wednesday was that there would be movement in a new direction, but possibly one without a lot of guilt or the sense of oppression, as if somehow there was a sense of freedom or being free of some obligations. And I said, you could be free to pursue whatever you may like.
Well, the devil, for me, Wednesday, I did talk about maybe you were just free at last from things that were holding you down, oppressing you in some way, addictions, obsessions, things of that nature. And I have to say, Wednesday's the day I decided I have to get back on track with my diet. So I'm going to be back on track with that. And also, I have to get the kiddies on track with their diet. They're all on a diet right now, poor guys. But only one needs it the most, and that one is not on the table right now.
So let's finish up with what we pulled for today. Thursday's card, the Ten of Pentacles upright. Go ahead.
Well, Thursday's card, the Ten of Pentacles upright, is a day where money might have been coming to some people, maybe from family connections or some help, whether it's financial or maybe some other support and help. And I also thought that it could indicate that a cycle in your life may be coming to a fruitful conclusion, positive results coming out of some cycle that you were ending, maybe a project that was being completed, etc. So I think today kind of was like that, in that I finished doing a major amount of work, one particular segment of work that I've been trying to get done for months. I finished today. So I do feel, in a way, complete.
Very good. And for me, I felt more the sense of what that family connection is implied with the card, and that we could not overlook that necessarily. If it's a blood connection or just a family of intent, someone could come through for you today, and hopefully that did happen. So at least share and help others, and maybe some of that will come back to you as well. But I also wanted to mention now that I'm happy that you got to a better place, Shining Soul. It sounds to me
Sounds
horrible.
bad last year, but I
to
remember that
deal with
storm
that.
from
Yeah,
last
so
year. It
we
was
are
terrible.
Totally hoping that that does not happen to you or anyone we know in Florida or Georgia. So what do you think? We're going to open up for a reading maybe?
Well, in a minute, but
Okay.
you know what? It occurred to me that something is missing from our agenda, and I'm feeling very bad.
What's that?
Is this by chance your day or mine to do a reading for the week?
I don't remember, but I'll do one.
Yeah.
Did you do one Sunday? I thought I did it Sunday. I don't really remember.
You did yours Sunday, yes. So it
it's
is my
yours,
turn
yes.
today.
So your 4-card reading.
For Smiling Soul and anybody else tuning in, we're going to do a weekly reading. And do you want to do that now? And this applies for the days ahead, for the week ahead till my next reading. Oberon does a different one on Sundays, and I do one on Thursdays.
So do you want to explain it real briefly why we're doing this? what the 4 cards stand for?
Well, my 4 cards are basically to give you a little bit of insight into particular areas of your life for the week ahead. For example, your health and well-being, your physical, mental, spiritual state at this present time. The next card is to do with your work and your financial matters. And the third card is for relationships and interpersonal relationships of any sort. And the fourth card is a general overview, a focus card for the week ahead. Maybe things that you need to focus on. So I'm shuffling the cards and thinking about the week ahead. I'm going to give them to Oberon to shuffle a little bit.
And I put the crystal ball near Sunny, who was mildly impressed. Very
That
mild.
is a black obsidian ball, which I got somewhere. It's really awesome. It's got a nice sheen to it. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, sorry.
There it is. It's nice. It's an awesome ball. I generally, if I read with crystals, even though I've tried to use the black ball, I work better with clear crystal myself. I don't know about you, Mr. O.
I tend to like black for scrying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have another guest in our chat room. Hello, Junior Goddess. Good
Hey,
to hear
Junior
from you
Goddess.
again.
Yeah, hi to you.
Thanks for dropping in.
Okay, you're just
We're just
in
about
time.
to do our weekly Banshee's weekly reading.
Yep. And so the first card for the week ahead is about your physical and mental, spiritual health and well-being for the week ahead. Oh, well.
Oh dear.
You want to hold that up to the camera?
Yes, sorry.
That's all right.
I forgot my appointed
He
role.
forgot his role. Know your role. It is the Six of Wands reversed,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of means maybe there's some setbacks in some area of, in this area of your life in the week ahead. Perhaps, you're falling down with an exercise routine. You're just feeling a little bit down in the dumps.
This is the physical?
There's physical, mental, or spiritual. I'm sensing the physical here with the wands for some reason. Maybe the fire energy is making me feel that way. But also I would say if it's discussing the mental or spiritual at all, be careful about being too angry or upset about things in this week ahead.
And-
Don't let emotions get the best of you.
And I'm wondering if this is a possibility for situations that have interactions at the workplace or just in group situations
It
too.
could be.
And that maybe there's a sense that some assignment you wanted to look good on, you don't, or maybe the assignment was given to somebody else, or something has shifted a little bit with those kind of interactions. And I don't see it as being a totally negative experience, but it's just not exactly what you thought you were going to be getting out of it. A different impression for you. What does Shadow say?
Oh, Shadow has entered the scene. Shadow says, I'm tired of Sunny being the star.
We are too.
The second card in the reading is to do with your workplace. Speaking of the workplace and finances, so let's see what we have here. Oh,
Continuing the thread, we have the Three of Cups reversed.
well, why do I get the feeling that indicates a sense of feeling overwhelmed on the job, a feeling of disenchantment, of being overwhelmed?
And I'm thinking also too that maybe somebody felt underwhelmed because
Underwhelmed or overwhelmed?
Well, I'm thinking an underwhelmed
Oh.
because what they felt was that maybe they were going to get more praise for something accomplished, and it wasn't really noticed in that light. It wasn't necessarily that it wasn't noticed at all. Well, maybe that's what it was. It just wasn't really appreciated in the way that someone may think.
So are you saying maybe people were feeling they should be celebrated or receive a
Something
shout
like
out
that.
for something,
Yeah.
and they didn't get the expected? So
do you
no.
get that maybe?
Well, I can see it. I can
Okay.
definitely see that.
That's what it's hitting me as.
But I also feel since this can be a card of excess in a way, that's
True.
why I'm thinking of being the feelings of overwhelmed. Whether you really are, overburdened at work or not is not the question. It's how you're feeling inside. You just feel like you're overwhelmed at this time with things. don't let it get to you. The week will be over soon enough, sadly. Sadly that, you have to go through it. So the third card is going to be about our interpersonal relationships in the week ahead. I was hoping for something better.
Yeah, we're getting all reverse cards.
We're getting
here.
all reverse cards, and I swear
This
they
one's
should
the
not have
Queen
been
of Wands reversed.
that way. So the Queen of Wands reversed is indicating, well, I would say that either you're going to be dealing with somebody who is going to be very argumentative. It could be a woman, but not necessarily. It's just somebody who's very argumentative and fiery. It could be somebody maybe from a fire sign.
What does the position mean?
This is interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, I'm feeling that this is showing somehow you have to deal with maybe the least charismatic person in the world, the person that just really does not have any attractive qualities to you. I'm not saying that they're an ugly person, but that there's just something disagreeable about them, that they just repel rather than attract. It's like the opposite of a magnetic quality. And I'm also thinking too that basically this is not a person who you can really get along with. They seem to be opposed to a number of people. So if you know who that person is, you may want to meet her, how your interactions go.
And also, if this is reflective of you as opposed to another person, I just caution you to be very careful about how aggressively you approach people in the week ahead.
Yeah, that could be too, that maybe there's an idea here that they feel you kind of clear way more than what you should be trying to bring.
And the focus for the week ahead, I peeked. I peeked because I wanted to see, it's not
We want
another
a good
reverse
card,
is
please.
it? It's a major arcana card, and it is Justice upright. And it's kind of interesting considering all we've just read is, don't you just want a little objectivity to people to look at you objectively and not with any preconceived notions or opinions or attitudes? You want your fair shake. You want a fair shake in this week ahead, and maybe that's the focus. And the focus is also that you look at things through, a fair-minded, perspective.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about being right. It's certainly not about being wrong, but it's not about being right so much as just knowing that the game was played fairly.
Yeah. Anything else? So do you want to recap? So a recap for me would be, so beware of disappointments and things that might bring you down mentally, physically, spiritually. Try to get in some exercise. Try to do things that are constructive for your health and well-being, because it seems like, this week ahead could be a period where, you might be feeling physically out of sorts.
I'll go with that.
Okay, and then again in the work environment, what did you say about that?
I thought somebody wasn't really impressed with your
right.
work, or that somehow they were underwhelmed by it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and also just maybe don't take it too much to heart, and don't let things overwhelm you. Don't let these feelings overwhelm you. And then of course in the interpersonal relationships, watch out for cranky individual. Oh, hi, Mr. Gerardo.
Yeah, we will be doing that in just a few moments if
Yep.
you hang on.
If you
There
hang
may
on, we
be
will
2 short readings in front of you, so I hope you can hang on.
Okay, and so if you beware of the people you are dealing with in the week ahead. It looks like there might be somebody who's kind of aggressive or angry, has some bitter feelings, and this could be somebody that's a fire sign and could be female, but not necessarily.
And I felt that maybe they were, I don't remember exactly. Once again, I'm getting that feeling that they're kind of like not relatable. Like this is a person that you can't really relate to. There's no physical magnetic attraction. Not that you're looking for somebody to love, but this is a person that maybe kind of repels. Like maybe they just don't know how to be a people person. Or maybe you're going to go through a bout of that. I don't know. It could be that too.
And finally, the focus for the week, Justice upright. be fair in what you're in your judgments of others. Be fair and objective, and also it seems to me that your focus for the week is seeing that you are looked at objectively and sincerely, and not with any preconceived prejudices or judgments. Somebody judging you without really understanding who you are.
And sometimes I think too that Justice card can also be kind of like relatable to the Strength card in an inverse kind of way. And so to me, the Justice card is also saying that there's a strength in knowing how to be fair and how to not be judgmental, but to look at all the facts and portray them as necessary.
So that's my reading for the week, and on Sunday, Oberon will be doing his.
Yes, I do a 3-card one as well, and that is good for the week, and Banshee will be back with her next one next week. But it looks like we have a few people who are asking some questions, so let's get them in order. Smiling Soul, did you have a question for us? You were first in the chat room today. Thank you for the compliment, too. I'm going to warm up my deck.
Yes, thanks, Smiling
And if
Soul.
the others want to think about their question and get ready to ask.
And also I'm going to bring out my Lenormand deck again, since he's got, we'll use your tarot deck for this one. You dropped a card, though.
I did.
And that looks like an interesting card.
Well, it's one that's come up a little bit for us.
Yes, it's the 7 of Pentacles, right?
The 7 of Pentacles. Okay, so the guy, can you refresh our memory? We had a couple of relationship questions in the last few sessions. This wasn't about the 2 guys, right? The one and then the one that was from before.
Was this the dream?
Oh, yes, it was the dream, right? Was that correct?
Do you want me to shuffle those two?
Yes, go ahead and shuffle those.
Alrighty.
So you're going on a trip. Well, we hope you have a good one, and who knows, maybe we can see that. Does this sound like a yes or no, or should we do a general
I
one?
think we should do a general one.
Okay. Go ahead and cut them when you're ready.
Maybe 3 cards on, the first one can be generally about the trip. We'll see what it says about the trip, and then who she may encounter on the trip.
And then the outcome?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you heard that, the first card we pull will be about the trip itself. And so that card is...
Oh, that sounds fun, Smiling Soul. New
Ooh,
York.
Oh, Fashion Week. Oh, Fashion Week. Yes. Okay, the first card about the trip says, whoops, I dropped it, but it's the 10 of Wands reversed. And this to me sounds really cool in a way, because this card says that the trip will be about releasing some burdens, or the trip will be about being free. Free at last literally comes to mind here. So I'm suggesting that possibly you've been really excited and planning and waiting to go for this trip. And the trip will be fabulous. You will feel a sense of freedom that you probably haven't felt in a while. What do you think, Banshee?
What a great card for a vacation in a way. I have to agree. It's as if you're setting your burdens and, your everyday workday world aside to have some fun or just to unwind. It's a time of unwinding.
Okay, so the second card is about
Let's say who you might meet on this trip.
Who you might meet, yes, okay. And, we're getting that card. We're getting the 4 of Cups, which is upright. And
I believe you might have had that card in one of your readings.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm getting the 2 possibilities here. I'm getting the possibility that there's a thoughtful person you may meet, and this person maybe is thoughtful and attractive on that sense of thoughtfulness. But what I'm feeling a little bit too is that maybe they're not really moving towards a particular idea here, that maybe they're looking at other choices. So this may be a person who is actually thinking about getting out into the dating pool or out into the meeting people pool, and maybe their intentions are really just to meet some people and see what happens. I.e., they're not necessarily looking for a quick romantic fling. They may want to really consider the possibilities of friendship leading to something else.
Well, I'm gonna take a stab here, though, at something, Smiling Soul, because remember we talked about this before, I think in your other reading when this came up. This card is kind of has a dreamy quality about it. I mean, the person's meditating here and thinking about things and ignoring the cup that's being offered to him. So I get the feeling, since this is talking about dreams, I'm wondering if there isn't something to this, that you may meet somebody that may remind you of this person in the dream.
I like that.
It is possible because of the way this came up and where it came up. So I would keep open to that possibility. I'm not going to say it's a sure thing, but it certainly seems interesting.
You'll have to
that
let
you
us
had
know.
that card
You'll have
there.
to let us know how Fashion
You
Week went.
absolutely will. Yeah.
I guess you're going to meet a fashion designer maybe, or who knows.
And so
But,
what are you
that'd be
picking
fun.
for the last
So the
card?
last card represents a possible outcome here.
Ooh. Oh, okay. It's the Hierophant
The
upright.
Hierophant. In some readings, or some types of readings, or some cards, this card actually may indicate a marriage, because he's sort of like a priest. He's really like the Pope, but he's like a priest. So it could signify some sort of relationship coming together, or being sanctioned by somebody who maybe is in not necessarily authority, but just sort of has a sense of that power of what's the word I'm looking for? Priestliness? I don't necessarily like that word, but it's the card also stands for conformity and non-conformity, depending on how it fits there. So it could also mean too that maybe this person is going to be very conventional, and maybe it won't be the kind of person that will throw you for a loop. No unintended surprises or bad surprises.
Well, I look at the Hierophant too. The Hierophant oftentimes is considered a teacher, an instructor of sorts. In particular, he knows a lot about rules and regulations. So I don't know where I'm going with this, except to say that I think you might meet somebody who could be a mentor to you in some way, or that you could learn a lot from.
And I want to go back and say that I don't say that this card predicts marriage, but it does sort of predict more of a formal relationship or something of that sort, something that just sort of feels like it's natural, it's right. So it could be that that's what happens, is that this will move along to that.
Also about the trip in general, it seems to me, with that Hierophant being the final card, that I think you stand to learn something as well as have a good time on this trip. So you'll come back either with some great new fashion knowledge or something that's going to benefit you in some way.
So enjoy your trip, and do check in with us later and let us know how it went.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we have time later and you have any other questions, we'll come back to you. But let's move on and see if Junior Goddess has a question for us today.
And we're going to continue using my deck. It's right
Oh,
here.
I didn't even draw. You know what, Smiling Soul?
Yeah.
Sorry, are you still around? I want to draw just a couple of my Lenormand cards for you before I go to Junior Goddess.
I'm a fashion doll collector, and I recently, well, not recently, it was a few years ago, actually bought a fashion for a Barbie doll that was intended to be, Barbie goes to Fashion Week. So I thought that was kind of cool when you said that.
Hold those up to the camera, please.
We have two
So,
cards
Smiling
here.
Soul, I pulled the clover and the tree for you, and to me, that's a sign of some very good luck, and also it's probably good luck is in matters connected with your body, and your physicality. And so I think that right now is a time where you're going to be experiencing a lot of energy, a lot of good things happening. And, it's interesting that I pulled that for your trip because, hey, isn't fashion a bit about body image? So, it might tie together right in with that, you're going to have a great time, I think, at this event.
And I don't really know these cards, so it would be hard for me to speculate on their meaning. I do like the image of the Tree of Life there, which, of course, is the card you call the tree. And, of course, The Tree of Life, just from that symbolic point of view, just talks about balance and things in unison. So I'll just say it's a good prognosis here.
And it does have to do with roots as well. It can also talk about family roots and things of that nature. It just depends on what you're intuiting at the time. We do have a question from Junior Goddess right now. How will my first week on my new job go? Well,
I think you're going to be awesome.
so how about 3 cards again? How would you like to do them?
And just a little insider thing between us. I saw a former coworker who knows you. I can't say their name. And they were happy to hear your new news. So that was very cool. Just wanted to share that with you. And that was only last night.
Shuffle. Thank you.
Oh no.
So the first card will be Mr. Allen? Mr. O?
Oh, am I to decide that?
Tell Smiling Soul that was an accident.
That was an accident, Smiling Soul, whatever that was. So that was my producer saying it. So I hope that wasn't too. It does look a little weird, but okay. We're just gonna clean up the chat room a little bit here, and you suggested this reading.
I did. Well, we're doing 3 card readings for people today.
Okay.
So it's about her first week on the job. So card number 1 should be just a general. How about the general atmosphere surrounding your job this
The second
week?
card should be maybe your relationship to that. How are you going to feel going into the new place?
Yeah, and then the third card will be what's ahead. Okay. Oh, you want me to cut? Yes. I will. There we go.
So the atmosphere around the workplace or around the situation of starting the new job. Okay, it's the Page of Wands. It's reversed. I'm thinking that probably on the first day of work, there might be a little bit of a delay with some paperwork stuff, like they'll be running around like, oh, we got to make sure we have all your forms signed correctly, and so I'm thinking it's minor to me.
That is so awesome you said that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. Is there's going to be some I won't say bureaucratic snafus, but obviously there's going to be time spent on things that aren't going to be all that exciting to you, and it's taking care of and it might be having to get to meet all these people. It may seem a little bit overwhelming, as first days can be.
Well, I know that you have all these forms to fill out for your tax deductions and purposes, and that's what I'm thinking is like that may be snaggish, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but what you want to take home from that is the idea that they're really serious about making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So I don't think that's a big hang up there.
Yeah.
And that in general, though, it may say that this environment is a little bit protocolish, a little bit policy wonk-ish. So, you'll just have to navigate around that until you understand the lay of that land there. And apparently somewhere in the ether behind us, the kitties
Yes.
are...
the kitties are acting out.
Are acting out a little bit. And hopefully they won't fall on the table during the reading. So the second card was kind of more what I felt or what we feel about your relationship to this place or to the concept of the new job. Like, how are you going to relate to this, And, how appropriate. It's the Seven of Wands, upright. This is a good card because this says you are very prepared to handle pretty much anything here that you will have, that you feel you have a vantage point here. You're coming with previous experience from your other jobs, and also too, this was from what I understand, a position that is an upgrade from your previous position. So you have the ability to basically stand for yourself and make it work.
Stand your ground. That's what comes to mind when you see this card. And obviously the person does have the upper ground and the upper hand. So it shows me that you are maybe a smidge above, a lot of the people that are going to be there. I think that you are in good standing to even move ahead further on this job.
This could also maybe be indicating that there is vantage point position for you as you acclimate and grow there, that maybe, you'll become more important, promotions or more responsibilities.
And now that I'm thinking about it, Junior Goddess, actually, considering what this position is, this is how you are related to your environment. That's exactly how you're going to feel. You're going to feel that, yeah, I've got this. I've got the upper hand here. I think I'm going to do all right. I think you're going to go in with a sense of confidence.
Okay, and so the last card was kind of pretty much the final result
Yep.
of all this, the outcome. Oh, well, this is an interesting card. It's death reversed.
Reversed.
And I'm thinking that what this may say is that what you will find is that there is, of course, like any workplace, some undercurrents, some things that are going on that maybe you'll be wondering what that's about. To some degree, it implies maybe some inertia in the workplace, that maybe you will find that certain processes you might be helpful in trying to bring the momentum, to bring them forward. So you're going to have some challenges, basically, is what I'm seeing there.
Well, there you go. I think that relates more to what I was going to say, is that I feel like you might find some things either not moving fast enough for you, not moving at all. You're going to want to make some changes, and maybe you're going to be a little bit disappointed at how sluggish people will be to want to enact those changes. Things might go off. In other words, don't expect a lot too soon from this job. You're going to need to give it time, and make sure that you do that, because it might seem to you that things are going off on a slow start. But sometimes slow is good. Slow is good on a new job. Gets you to acclimate to people, get to know the environment, get to know what people are all about and how they do things. And you can absorb all that before you go in there like gangbusters wanting to make those changes.
As you approach change, just make sure that you have forces behind you, that you have your sense of being in control, your sense of your vantage point, and probably, just do it in a reasonable way, and I think it's going to work out. So we're very happy for you.
I did draw a couple of Lenormand cards, so I'm going to show them to you. One is good, one is sort of, I don't like to see it there. So we've got the mice, and we have the heart. And I would caution you, though, don't let stress on your job cause any problems in your personal relationships, either with family, people you're close to. Don't let little disturbances and pressures from a new job, take away from your family and your personal life, because changing jobs is always stressful. Sometimes we leave a negative situation for something better and we think everything's going to change overnight, but it doesn't. And as we acclimate and get used to, the new world order, sometimes our relationships can suffer. So try to keep an even work-life balance is my best advice for you here.
And once again, not really knowing Lenormand at all, but I'm looking at the images and I'm thinking, oh, mice are cute, but they tend to be annoying. But you're going to be that person who annoys with a lot of heart. So
Nice try.
Just be a gentle annoyer, and you'll probably will be able to nibble your way to some victories there.
That's not bad, not bad. The mice, though, are generally kind of a difficult card in the Lenormand.
Did Mr. Gerard leave us? No. Okay. So Mr. Gerard is next.
He is next.
And we also have another guest, the Floyd. So we will get to your question if you have any, or if you're just hanging around to see what's going on here. But Mr. Gerard, if you're there, go ahead and ask your question. Thank you for that. Okay.
Okay.
Insight on your career. Do you want to do a 3-card reading with this one too?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to do my typical 3-card one.
Okay.
The overall environment for you right now, and then the 2 factors that may be most concerning, that whether they're both good, both bad, one of each, that kind of thing.
But I will be looking at those cards to see if anything may indicate a a career choice for you.
Insight on career. Yes.
All right. Okay, Floyd, we'll try to get to that as soon as we're done with Mr. Gerardo.
You'll be next,
You
Floyd.
will be next. And thank you for joining us today, everybody.
Thank you.
That goes
yes.
for everybody. Can't tell you how much we enjoy reading for people.
Go ahead and cut.
I'm cutting again. I shall do
I
so.
can do that.
I can do that.
Okay,
can do
Mr.
that better.
Gerard, thank you for being so patient. And the first card, as I said, is sort of a covering card. It's the environment around you. Because we had the intent of thinking about your career and insight, it will most likely, hopefully, be able to be interpreted in that light. And
What is going on with those cats? Okay.
I don't know if these cards stick to each other, but we have a similar card from our previous reading, the Seven of Wands. It's upright. This is in your overall position. So this says that at this current time, what I'm going to say in relationship to your question about career is that you probably have some strong sense of where you can go. You sort of feel like you have a vantage point, like you can accept choices, but you really are, of course, looking for what those situations might be. Should you change careers? Right now, you sort of feel like you're holding your own, though.
Well, I can see this too and ask you, do you by chance supervise people? Are you in a leadership role? Or are you considering doing such? Because to me it looks like
Smiling
you are
Soul.
standing above others here, like you might be able to assume some type of leadership position or role.
And it is a leadership role that sort of puts you a little bit at odds at times, like so that maybe you are supervising people, and so sometimes you have to disagree or agree or go forward, or hold back. So there is that. So we got you correctly. Okay, so I'm going to pull two more cards, and these are hopefully to
Okay.
give other information about your basic question, should you change careers? Well, the first card is the Ace of Swords. This is a strong sign for a change of careers. And so I'm going to suggest that probably you are already into that search of looking for career leads and changes, and that there is some possibility that something is offered to you or that you see that coming to you. The Ace of Swords is always a new beginning, and it's usually about an undertaking where we really have to apply will and strength and fortitude to those tasks.
And also, the Ace of Swords is maybe coming to terms with making a decision, a decisive decision in the right direction. It's a very positive card for sure, very powerful for a new beginning.
Now, this card does not necessarily portray the more esoteric or metaphysical career that you might be seeking, but it doesn't not portray that either.
No, it doesn't. I'm not getting a clear signal right now on career, but I want him to draw another card to see if something will show at the final card here.
Okay, so our next card then is... Ooh,
Oh my goodness.
This is an interesting card here. It's
You-
the Six of Swords.
Yeah.
Does any of the choices you're looking at or any of the possibilities will lead you away? And of course, since as in a physical movement or at least some sort of mental movement, like you're really moving away from the paradigm you're now in. And of course, this really does apply more
This
to
could
the
definitely
esoteric.
indicate even a move away from your present environment. In other words, you might be taking a job that will have you move somewhere.
But
physically.
considering that he's mentioned, Mr. Gerard has mentioned the metaphysical, this journey over the river almost seems to give a clue towards that in a way.
That is true.
Because water, river sort of represents an unconsciousness. It represents emotionality too, but it also represents sort of like the deep level of our brains and minds,
Well,
and how esoterics informs that or can.
it's a tough call for me on this because they're both swords,
More of a
and
mental
swords tend to indicate to me a logical mind, but
Mm-hmm.
also it can indicate to me obviously something in the pursuit of mental pursuits, which could be metaphysical in a way, using your
Mm-hmm.
mind, like using your intuition, your mind.
Mr. Gerard feels that the move is more of a mental one, just sort
Okay.
of adapting to new circumstances and new situations. But as Banshee mentioned a moment ago, the swords had that implication of, you said will or yeah,
Well, mental
mental. Yeah, I mean,
pursuits.
it's more about the swords are more about the air element, which implies the mentality, the intellect, that
So,
kind
in
of
one
thing.
sense, if you're thinking of going a metaphysical route and becoming, say, a metaphysical teacher, I think this could indicate that, as far as it goes, that you would be doing some teaching. Uh, the other thing is, I drew a couple Lenormand cards for you, and I'll have Mr. O hold them up for you.
Okay.
One is the ship. Interesting, since you also have the ship here.
Yes.
And another is the mountains.
And let
Now,
me show that one now, the mountains.
the mountains can indicate to me that there is some obstacles in your journey, but journey you are. I think the ship is definitely saying change or travel in some way, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, is inevitable. And you may encounter some obstacles along the way. Well, nothing's easy in life, is it? And that's what gives, the challenges is what keeps us going. And I would say there will be some challenges for you, but it looks to me from what I'm seeing here, it's going to definitely be worth the effort.
Not being a reader of Lenormand, as I keep saying, I just go with what the images feel to me. And it's a ship that's flying, and there's the mountains. And I'm thinking, you know, if Mohammed won't come to the mountains, then the mountains come to Mohammed. And I'm thinking, this shows me you are sailing to the top. And, in our culture, in our symbology, we often feel there's the wise man at the top of the mountain. And you've indicated that you want to be a teacher. And I'm thinking, this is probably really the role you are meant to play. And you're going there. I mean, I think we helped you clarify some of that, or maybe, showed you that that's what was happening. But you are going there, I think. You are going to where your goal wants to take you.
And yeah, okay, and you mentioned that you take care of an elderly mother. Bless you for that. My mother had Alzheimer's disease for
We have been there
15
too, thank
years.
you.
So I know all about taking care of the elderly, and I respect you for that. And my brother, who has passed away this year, was instrumental with me in helping ensure my mother was well taken care of. So good luck with that, and I wish you the best. And
Right.
also, I just want to say that the Lenormand, it's interesting the way Oberon did that. I am not an expert with the Lenormand, actually, because I've just taken it on in more recent years, but I've just gravitated to it, and so I think he's doing really quite well with his interpretations as well. And
Thank you, Banshee.
you're welcome. And I'm just throwing it out there as a little extra thing we do, because I not only read the tarot, I dabble with all sorts of divination tools.
Love your mother every day. That's the right thing.
Absolutely.
So may you blessed be, of course.
And feel free
thank
to
you for
stop in
dropping
again
in.
for a reading. And if we have time later, we don't have a lot of people showing up. And if any of you have more questions, we'll be happy to take them. But right now,
We are ready for the Floyd. And the Floyd has
the
already
Floyd.
asked a question.
Yes.
Which was basically, how do we see September
Okay.
for them working out? How
How-
about if you shuffle this time?
How about, okay, in this case, we are going to do a 4-card reading for the Floyd. And how about we do a card a week?
Okay.
Just to see how it shapes out. And then I'll do a Lenormand card. The
Thank
Lenormand
you,
cards.
Mr. Gerard, for subscribing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gerardo. We hope to see you again. And we'll be here Sunday if you have time on this busy Labor Day weekend.
Tell some friends of yours, too.
So anyway, I just wanted to say to the Floyd that we will do the 4 cards for you special, one for each week. And then I will pull a couple of Lenormand cards to see what the focus might be for the month of September for you. Okay.
And we want to thank everybody for being patient and waiting in the chat room. We like you all. Thank you so much for coming back.
And our cats have disappeared. What happened?
Well, when we pay too much attention to somebody other than them, they get bored and they have to leave.
They have been seriously out of control, and they must be jealous because they were acting out over there. Our producer had to go kind of calm them down.
Okay, and I'm going to cut them and let Banshee complete the cut, and then we will do a synopsis of each week.
Okay.
So the first week will actually start on Sunday, right?
Yes,
That's the first.
it's the
Okay.
first of the month.
Ooh, Miss the Floyd, you have the
I
magician.
like this start.
So the start of the month for you is energizing, and it's about kind of assembling the components of what you intend to do, assembling the components of your willpower and of your desire and things like that. And if you are involved in any enterprises that offer you the chance to be creative or apply yourself strongly to a task, the signs are all go pretty much.
I would say this is you getting your ducks in the row for the month ahead. However you need to do so. It looks as though you're going to have everything, it seems like you're going to have everything in place to get the month off to a great start. I see a nice, powerful start for you here.
In a way,
for
it's
the
sort of
month ahead.
setting the pattern possibly for the rest of the
Well,
month.
let's hope
opening
so.
strong.
We never know
Yep.
what this deck will bring. Oh. It looks like
Week 2.
It looks like week 2 might see you as possibly.
It's the 8 of Cups upright.
Oh yes, thank you. Possibly moving away from something to seek something higher. You know, maybe you've been disenchanted with something in some area of your life, and you're looking for something that might make you feel more spiritually whole and complete.
Well, to paraphrase a silly cartoon, the road you're on is taking you somewhere. It just is taking you in a rather different direction that you may have some time in that second week to really look and reevaluate your values. A lot of it's about your values, what you really feel, and what you may find is that maybe to some degree you feel like you've been, I won't say deceiving yourself, but you've been kind of ignoring some other things, and now the perspective is going to shift and you're going to feel you need to move towards that. And it's a little bit more loftier, it's a little bit more mental,
Spiritual in a certain way, something that really fulfills you deep within. That's what I think. You're looking, maybe you felt that some things have been lacking and you're looking for a little bit more something that will really make you feel better about your world.
You're going to go look for that mountain that Mr. Gerard is on, and you're going to ask him for a little advice, and he'll be happy to give it to you, I'm sure.
All right. Well, the third week.
The third week
This is kind of an
is
interesting.
a little change. It's
the Five of Cups, and it's upright. And it's kind of interesting following that card,
Yes, it
wouldn't
is.
you say?
Mhm.
Because now maybe you're looking at some of the things that you decided weren't fulfilling to you, and you're wondering if maybe you let something go you shouldn't have. So
You're going to basically evaluate what happened in the second week and where you felt you were being led to, and then you may actually hold yourself in status and position to think about it, because clearly you're going to feel that maybe some things are being left or taken away that you shouldn't, or you're not sure. But rest assured, though, what you will find is that there are some other things there for you. You're just not quite noticing them. So awareness maybe is one key factor of week 3, to be totally aware of what you have and what you don't have, what you can change and what you can't change. It's kind of like the serendipity prayer, accept what you can't change what you can't accept.
well, and the card itself is somber in that the person is looking at what is lost or left behind and not really paying attention to what they've moved on to. There are these 2 full cups here that this person in the card has turned their back on. So let's try not to focus on the negative in the third weeks. Let's think about the positive doors that you are opening in your life, as opposed to, maybe some past disappointments.
Finally, the fourth week. Oh dear.
Well, as sad as that looks, I'm not so
The Two
sure
of
that's
Cups.
necessarily a sad thing in the fourth week, because this is the impression, it's the Two of Cups reversed.
Reverse.
And this is the impression I'm getting from it, is that you are making a clean break by the fourth week from something that no longer fulfills you. And it's probably a good move for you in the end. How do you feel about
He has
that?
the Serenity coin in his pocket.
Oh, awesome.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Now, my feeling is a little different because I do feel that maybe something is changing. It could be in a relationship or just a friendship, a strong friendship. But there's a sense that maybe the harmony is in error at this point in the fourth week. There may be just an argument of some sort that has a little bit more of a ramification. I don't necessarily say that this is the end of a relationship or a breakup, but it sort of has a feeling of a little bit of rockiness.
Oh, and I was going to draw a couple of my Lenormand. I'd stopped shuffling so I could grab some. Oh, wow, that's... How did that happen? I shuffled those cards. I shuffled them.
Okay, the Floyd. You're definitely going up to the mountain after Mr. Gerard.
Well, you know what? I'm going to pull a third card just because.
She pulled the exact same cards that she had pulled for the
did?
previous client, so that was kind of weird. So the interpretation is flying to the mountain, flying
Well,
to
to
your
me-
highest goals, you know.
To me, looking at this journey you're taking away from
Yes.
something, I think this reinforces it for sure. And that it's not an easy road. It's not an easy road, leaving things behind that we become accustomed to, that are familiar for maybe the unknown or a new adventure. And so there's going to be obstacles or stumbles along the way, feelings of maybe resentment or sorrow that you'll have to work through. But the child card says to me that that is going to be short-term struggles. The child often indicates a short period of time because the child is small, and if it's a timing thing, it relates to something happening in a short period of time. And it could also indicate, because it is a child, that something new is beginning for you as well. So, and I think that's where we were kind of seeing things go here.
Yeah, and I kind of think it's interesting that we have all the Cups cards because the Cups
Yeah.
cards
Oh
do
my
talk
gosh.
about the emotions and how we navigate our way through emotions and the things that we yearn for, the things that we are passionate about, or the opposite of that. So I am thinking that the month of September is a little bit of emotional for you, and there may be some ups and downs in a number of manners, maybe in a number of situations. But I don't think there's anything that indicates the worst things happen to you. I don't really see that because your first card is you are launching forward with all the willpower and creativity and other forces you can marshal. So that's your key characteristic. If you have that coin in your pocket, I think that's something you've really internalized on your journey, willpower and the drive to succeed and to be, the best person possible, as a coworker of mine always says.
It's funny that you mentioned that about all the cups in the reading. There are 3 cups, but let's not forget that the magician has all the tools at his disposal.
Including a cup.
Therefore, he has a cup. And so emotions are definitely dominating here in some way. You are being moved emotionally to make some changes in your life, I think, in September. September is going to be a very interesting month for you, I think. And do check in with us, and let us know
Yeah, we'd
how
like to
things are
know.
going.
Yeah, thank you. Alrighty then. Well, we have pretty much completed our first hour.
Wow, and that was pretty awesome, guys.
Yeah, we
Thanks
just-
for all the interesting questions. Right now, before we get into any more readings, and if we have a moment, I'd like to introduce you to 3 tools that I just recently purchased, divination tools that you might find of interest. They're simple little things, but I think they're pretty awesome. And as a matter of fact, I got one of them as a gift for someone.
And then decided to keep it.
Actually, no, I bought my own. I bought my own because they were so awesome. Well, at any rate, let's just show some of the box tops first. The Cat Guru cards, the Art Oracle cards, and the Music Oracle cards.
That one looks awesome.
Now, let me just say that I find, like we started our show with a fortune cookie, you never know where you're going to get bits of wisdom from. I mean, as a librarian, there's this cartomancy. I shouldn't call it cartomancy. There's this divination method called bibliomancy, where you're supposed to just open a book and you just pick a spot in the book and you read that part to gain insight.
We just had a little feedback from the Floyd.
Okay.
So that was nice to hear that. And we hope this advice and information was good for you. So please do let us know how things work out. Drop in again if you can. Stick around now if you wish. If we have
Thanks.
time later, we may do more questions.
Thanks for that, Smiling Soul. The music one is nice and cool. They're all cool in their own way, though, and they're from the same company. I believe, let me just get their name, Lawrence King Publishing. And what's interesting about these cards is that they have just simple, like affirmations on each of the cards for different aspects of your life. For example, there's on the Cat Guru cards, it will give you a simple line about your life, about your work, or about inspiration. And so I'm just going to, and also the booklet itself does not give you any interpretations, any spreads. I think it's just assumed to draw a card a day or however you feel like doing it. And in the book, why don't you show just briefly, my only caveat is the print is way small in the book, and I wish publishers would keep in mind that people my age might have a little bit of problem reading that. But
They have a contract with the Reading Glass Company.
yeah, maybe. So at any rate, but what's in the book is like a little information on each of the artists or the cats in this case. This is the artists actually, the cats or the music. And so the thing is that, let me pull a card here from the Cat Guru deck, for example. Oh, I picked the artists. I'm sorry. Do I have the box tops on the wrong box or the cards in the wrong box? I might. Which is very
Not
funny.
gonna ask.
I cannot believe I did that. But at any rate, so for the art oracles, they have relationships, life, and work. And so I want to just pull out maybe an artist that maybe we're more familiar with. I'm only 39 and I would have trouble reading that. Yeah, you know what? Some of
Well-
these things are very bad lately.
Yeah. I fought my failing vision into my 50s even, but eventually I had to give up. She wants to know where they can be purchased.
Oh, well, you can get them at Amazon, at Amazon, but also I found them at a Barnes & Noble. I found one of the decks, the Cat Guru decks, at Barnes & Noble. So you might be able to pick them up there. Let's show this card, Pablo Picasso.
Oh, this is awesome.
And so what it does is they basically take some of the concepts or ways these artists lived their lives and they make little affirmations out of them. So for example, for Pablo Picasso, the advice for this is so funny. The advice for life would be, if nothing else, be prolific. The advice for work would be, choose to have as many styles as you do lovers. And the advice for inspiration would be, make something worth impersonating. And so if you read the little histories that they have of the artists in the booklet, you'll see how they came up with this. And it really adds and enhances to what it says on the cards. It's really well thought out. You learn about the artists in the process of gaining some inspiration and some insight. I think these are a total win-win.
It is also interesting to note that there is a Pablo Picasso deck of tarot cards too, which I believe you own that.
I do, as
Yes.
a matter of fact.
Were they actually designed by him?
Actually, no.
They were just done kind
No.
of in homage or homage. Yes.
So, no. All right.
On to cats.
You had me thinking about that deck now for some reason, but okay, on to cats. Oh, good. I picked the perfect cat to talk about here. The Cheshire Cat. I can hold that up a minute. And now with the cat, I'm dropping stuff. With the Cat Guru cards, it's about life, work, and inspiration. So, for example, for the Cheshire Cat, about life, it says smile and you can get away with anything. And with, what was the other one? Work? I forget already. With work, don't be afraid to go down the rabbit hole. And with inspiration, it's is that inspiration? With inspiration, it's always read the label. Sound advice. And so then you could read about the Cheshire Cats in the book. So as I make a further mess here of things with my cards, just to show them off because they're so cool. They're really fun. So, like I've said, with tarot cards and a lot of these divination devices, almost any interest that you have, there's a deck out there for you. So now we have this music deck. And I'm going to see if I can find somebody more modern day. They've got Beethoven. I mean, they are all over the map with who they have in here.
Bruce.
Bruce is in here. Bruce Springsteen, Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, Prince, Lou Reed,
Cher,
Shakira, Diana Ross. Where are the new people?
Yeah, those aren't new enough.
They're here.
Are you looking
honest.
for Skrillex or whatever they call themselves?
No, I'm not. But hang on a minute. Just hang with me.
I will insert the Jeopardy theme music here.
Start. I might find one by then. Oh, this is crazy. But you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to do David Bowie.
Of course.
We'll do David Bowie. Who's more colorful than that, huh? And that's attitude, lifestyle, and inspiration.
And then we have somebody else. Oh, he wants to have
Stevie Ray Vaughan in there.
Vaughan
You know, it's possible. I can't remember. But let me just see if I can look in the book and see if they're in here.
It's
So I
an
believe
interesting
they are-
collection because it's not just from the 20th or 21st centuries. It's also from previous centuries. So Beethoven is in
No,
there.
they don't have Stevie Ray.
They did have Bruce Springsteen.
They did have Bruce Springsteen. But let me tell you, they're all over the place. They've got Billie Holiday in here. They have John Coltrane in here. They have Bob Dylan in here. Ella Fitzgerald. You know who I was really upset that they didn't have in here? Aretha Franklin. Hello. But,
She never gets any respect.
they can't cover everybody. Fun fact, SRV did a song with David Bowie. Okay, so this one.
Can you remind us which song that was? Because I'm not remembering myself. I know Bowie did play with a number of different sessions people on occasion. Just log that in if you remember.
So attitude, lifestyle, and inspiration. So for David Bowie, attitude is never lower your mask until you have another ready beneath. And lifestyle is cultivate strangeness and beauty will follow.
That sounds like David Bowie.
And inspiration, seek the truth floating far above the moon. What was that song?
There's a starman.
Oh, I was thinking of the...
Let's Dance.
Oh, Let's Dance.
Oh, it's one of my favorite songs by him. That was really like a great comeback album for David Bowie. But on the other hand, David Bowie never goes away. Just all his albums are so different and just a new spin. But I love almost the entire album. I love the entire album.
Oh,
Thank you for reminding us.
Yeah. So another thing I thought to do with this...
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
If you do get this deck, one of the things that or any of these decks, one of the things that I like to do is I'll draw a card for each category. And then I'll just read that line. Like, for example, I'll draw a card for the cat one for relationships, one for life, and one for work. And then I'll just read that particular line on each card. So that's one way you could do it. I've also crossed the streams with these decks since I have 3 of them now. And I've drawn one card from each deck and I've read them all, in tandem. So, they're fun to explore and I think it's cool. And let me just say that usually the things that I will review are things that I have purchased. They're not things that have been given to me from a publisher. And if that were the case, It has happened in the past because I've gone to conferences where I've received books and things. I will let you know that, to be honest and fair about it. But almost everything that I'm going to review here is things that I like. I'm not going to waste your times with things and dog things on air. There's no point to that. I only want to present things that I enjoy in some way or another and that I think you might find of interest. And because I am a librarian, I try to be objective about this. I realize that maybe things don't work for me, but they might work for other people. So as long as I feel they may have some value, I will recommend them. That's it.
Everybody loved David Bowie, or nearly. Even my mom loves David Bowie. My mom's favorite song by David Bowie is from the Aladdin Sane album, Lady Grinning Soul. She just loves the piano and the flamenco guitar and stuff in parts. Very nice. But he will be remembered always, and that's the point, because if something is remembered, it lives forever.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing we can say about that. I miss him too, but he's still with us in a way. So there you have it. Thank you, everybody, for that.
Well, I'm glad I finally got to these. We were going to do them last week, but we did readings. But I thought I would share this, and stay tuned for more of this in the future. Let's just say we have quite a room filled with stuff.
Okay, is there time to be really spontaneous?
I'm just looking at our thing and seeing how we're doing. Spontaneous or us. What do you want to do?
I just feel the need to do a real short, quick meditation.
Oh,
at
goodness.
random.
Really?
May I?
If you wish.
And this is
after
dedicated
that,
to everybody in our chat room.
and after that, can we do a fantasy forecast?
We absolutely can.
Okay.
So I'd like everybody to relax for a moment. I'm just going to have a few words. It's really going to be short, little meditation. I've been inspired by tonight's conversations and the thoughts that you all have shared. I really appreciate this. So I'm going to pull this card and do a spontaneous meditation. The Nine of Swords reversed. The Nine of Swords reversed tells me that sometimes we have suffering in our lives, and sometimes we suffer needlessly. We don't know why we're suffering. We feel we're with somebody else and we're just there with them. But we can arise from that too. We can actually put things into perspective, spend some time thinking about this, maybe finding a conclusion, maybe finding peace. But we have to remember that we can always rise again like the sun. And that's what we need to remember, that no matter how dark things seem, how much suffering we know people are enduring, we have to remember we are there in spirit, if nothing else, and we all share together, and we all want the world to be better. Blessed be.
Well, thank you. And that's perfect. The Nine of Swords is reversed, is a card that I always feel like the sun will rise again when I see that card. The sun will shine for you again. Tomorrow is another day.
The need for speed? What are you talking about? Is it time for you to go or something? Come back though. If you have to leave, come back.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
So I'm going to move these out of my way.
Okay, we are going to have a fantasy forecast. And
Yes.
The fantasy forecast is kind of another unique, intuitive thing that we can do, where we don't know what that fantasy forecast is, so we just sort of shuffle the cards, and whatever it hits us as, we do that reading.
And sometimes it will deal with maybe politics, world events, maybe celebrities, maybe none of the above, maybe something else. We'll just see what we draw and run with it.
Swirl.
I'm going to pull it.
All right. Strength reversed.
That's kind of how would you want to take that?
Strength reversed is, to me, about a person who just wants to force things to be their way rather than to try to make things work their way. And of course, there are many metaphors or symbols
Politically or otherwise for
or
that.
proxies, analogs for this. let's just take it into the more generic our country, not saying who does what, who is responsible for what, and saying that perhaps this is about our country thinking it can force everyone to do what we want it to do or what certain people want it to do, to put control over
Are
the
you
whole
talking
world.
America first?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So what card do you want to draw about that? Let's see what you pull. I think you should pull this one.
I'm not sure what the question is. Should America be first,
Should
or why?
America be first, and why? That's
And
a
why?
good question. Well, should America be first? Well, let's. Why do we keep drawing that card? That's so funny.
So, should America be first? No, America needs to be a little more contemplative before it rushes into things. It needs to consider all the choices. It needs to get in touch with a higher self and say, is this really the right thing to do? What are the unintended consequences? What do I expect to happen? What will I be prepared for if it does happen? Can I be prepared?
I think it's time for a timeout for America in this regard. That's what this card is saying. The person is sitting back there and he's looking at the cups, and I think what this is saying is it's calling for a timeout from that. Let's put the brakes on that a little bit, and how should I say this? Clean our own closets before we go trying to clean up the world. That's
Yes.
what I would say.
Okay, and now we probably want to do one about the hurricane too, right?
Well, I did, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so let's just go at it.
So I just want to pick a card to say, okay, this first card,
Let's
I-
explain the concept we wanted to
well, basically I wanted to see about the hurricane and see if we're prepared and ready for what we face. So I think the first card is about what we
do. And
possibly
we
face.
know that Smiling Soul and a lot of other people we know live in Florida, are down there, and this is a big deal to them.
Well, and I should tell you, maybe before we start, that I pulled a couple of cards myself the day before on this. And one of the cards I got was very concerning to me because I had asked a question. I asked the question if there would be more than one strike. You know, in other words, would it hit Florida, say, and possibly hit somewhere else, like either go up the coast? And I got the Devil card upright. And I really do feel that that indicated to me that, yes, this could possibly indicate that it is hitting somewhere else. And that this storm is going to be a very vicious one, has the potential to be a very vicious one.
So we're each going to pull a card?
Well,
Let's see.
I'll have you pull the next one. Well, I would say that this card is more, it seems like the impression I'm getting from that card is not about the storm itself.
It's the Hierophant.
I feel
Upright.
it's more about the preparedness angle, and it does seem as though preparations are underway, and I think that they're going to be good, that we will be pretty prepared for what's coming. Also, if it is about the storm itself, you know, they're saying it's going to get big, etc., but maybe it's going to be more, how should I say this, a more typical of a hurricane, you know, in strength. Maybe it will not be the strong one. What do you think when you
Well,
say
I'm getting
that?
a little different feeling
You're
here.
getting a
'cause-
different feeling.
Yeah, I'm getting the
Oh.
feeling that there's going to be this message that says everything is fine. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Oh.
Everything's fine. And that maybe to some degree that will just be a window dressing that the media, the government, whoever tells us. I'm not saying that they are lying or that they're hiding some vast miscalculation, but I think that they're going to do their best to try to make people not feel the fear. And I don't know, something's just telling me that may not be the best way to utilize.
Are you talking spin?
Spin?
Oh. Oh, it's at a 4 now. You know, right? You're right, Smiling Soul. That's what they claim. But a lot of things can happen along the way. It's going to hit close or possibly hit the Bahamas. And sometimes storms can decrease in intensity, but of course it's going to hit some open water again. I have to tell you, I'm kind of a weather geek. So it's not like I'm into doom and gloom and chasing horrible storms and stuff, but I'm always fascinated at the power of and fury of some of these storms. And I'm just fascinated with the process of Mother Nature and what she can bring. And so that's it. So I am aware that a lot can happen. And maybe he's more right than not that this is indicative of them telling us a line that yes, we're all set, we're prepared, America's great.
Well, and we've seen it happen before.
Yeah, it is true.
Now,
it is true.
when I pulled this card,
What were you
I was
thinking?
thinking mostly about the magnitude of these storms
Okay.
and their propensity to keep hitting back, ponging back. And I got the King of Cups, which in a strange kind of way kind of corroborates the Hierophant in a way but this one is more believable. This is a person who I don't know if it's a person, an agency, who it is, but I think they are promoting the idea that things will work out and that there will be help. There will be somebody who will
Oh, go ahead. I'm listening.
somebody who will be able to take charge and to render compassion and understanding and actual solutions to this problem. I don't know who that person is. I can think of who that person is not, but we're not going there tonight.
Magnitude of the storm. So you mentioned that was a card, and I'm seeing the King of Cups there, and you know what it's making me think? It's making me think of the potential for a really that this could be a really huge rain event. Very water, think about the water and the king being the king as tops. So I'm almost thinking that water may be the problem in one way or another, whether it's storm surge or it's heavy rainfall. It might, be the worst of it.
I kind of diverted from my thought about the magnitude because the king impressed me with his ability to kind of meter out situations, but Banshee calls it correctly. And just as a further note, you can see that underneath the throne he's sitting on, there's literally water lapping towards one of his feet. So the sense of water fulfillment is really strong with this card, and it may be more of flooding, deluge, rainy effects than some of the other worse effects from storm. But I don't know. Being under several feet of water is not going to be good for people either. So.
No. And let's see if we can find. Let me pull one more card. Should we do this as a resolution? How things will turn out?
Let's do something we've never done before. Don't
What?
pull it.
Okay.
Let's find the card together.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's kind of like working a Ouija board, but not.
Maybe. Are the spirits about to speak?
Well,
That one?
I think that one. Oh my goodness.
We pulled the Queen of Cups, who also has water swirling around her feet. The Queen of Cups maybe represents a softer focus in a sense. It's a little more dreamy, like maybe she's sort of seen it from a distance and she doesn't feel she's rightly affected by it, but she's very aware of it. She's possibly concerned about it.
I think there's twofold here. I think it's going to definitely show that there will be a lot of compassion and a lot of aid and a lot of help at the ready after the storm is over. But again, being the King and Queen of Cups, I'm thinking water is a prominent problem in this storm.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of water, and even that first card, the Hierophant, has qualities of water about it. So
I also wonder, too, if this isn't pointing to the fact that the storm could go back out to sea. And whether it will come back to reach land again, I'm not certain. But
let's do a quick yes or no
okay. Well, on what? Just the fact that...
on that question, whether it'll
Okay.
come back or not, whether it'll go out to sea or whether it'll come back.
Let's ask if it's going to strike... Yeah, have two strikes. Let's ask it that way. Will there be more than one strike? Because I know that even after the hurricane hits, and I've never lived through one, so and I know you have, Smiling Soul, but I know that they can, it's not just the strike itself, as it travels over land, lots of water damage, wind damage, power outages, not just in the main area that was hit, but, further inland and stuff occurs. So, but I just want to see if it's actually going to go back in the water, regain more strength, and come back and hit again.
This is our yes and no typical one, where we try to find the most aces within 36 cards, 3 piles of 13. It's apparently a pretty old reading that I was actually taught verbally by somebody a long time ago, over 40 years ago, before I ever noticed it in a book. And then probably years later, it was more than 10 years later, it might have been 10 or 15 later, I started seeing this reading in a book. But the woman who taught me how to see it was a Dianic witch of some sort. And she said this was a card reading that she had been doing for a while. And there it was.
I'll let you cut this time.
You may put it back together.
Do you want me to do it?
Okay, go ahead.
You can explain if you want.
So we pull cards and we draw cards and count to 13 unless we pull an ace. If we pull an ace, then we stop and we begin a new pile. You only will pull a maximum of 13 cards for each pile of 3. There's only 3 piles. And so the reading is that the more aces you get represent more likely the chances is yes. The more non-aces, more likely no. So for example, if there are no aces, it looks pretty positive it's no. If there are 3 aces, it looks pretty positive it's yes. 2 aces mean it's a better chance of yes, but 2 non-aces mean it's a better chance of no, and so forth. Interpretation?
Well, I've got 2 aces, and so that means there's a potential that there could be a second strike. It's leaning that way. And also, again, I've got a cup card, and it's the 10 of Cups reversed. So I hope all families take care in this storm. I'm concerned about that. It's kind of a card of families and togetherness, but also it's a card that's telling me that there could be some water issues again.
Yeah.
And also,
one way to look at it too is, of course, is that when cups are upright, the water's contained in them, but then when the cups are reversed, the water may be flowing outwards, and so that is a metaphor or otherwise for the question that we actually did ask.
So not to put on Uber alarm bells here, because
welcome.
the tarot. Hey, it's only a snapshot in time, and as a matter of fact, with a hurricane, the path changes throughout the days ahead. You never know what could still be, but to give you a snapshot of right now, things are not looking really great, and I would prepare as much as possible for this to come in and take it very seriously, very seriously.
So we are just about past 3/4 of our time here, and we're only going to have about a half an hour more of our broadcast.
Anything else you want to do? What's on our agenda?
Our agenda.
We had discussions and stuff, but we can
Yes.
postpone
We
that.
will pull the
I
tarot
will-
for tomorrow towards the end, so we can discuss the haiku project. We can also
Yeah, I
do maybe
want
a
to
couple
discuss
more
that a
readings for
little
people.
bit on our Facebook page. If you go to our Facebook page, not only do we give you daily readings, tarot for tomorrow. So, we have to do that.
Yeah.
We have to do that next. So, just so we make sure we get that done. But our tarot for tomorrow, which is for, a little prognostication for the next day. I'm also putting tarot haiku on our Facebook page and our Twitter page. Basically, years ago, I decided on a poetry project and that I was going to do the tarot cards as my subject. And so I decided to do a general, upright, and reversed haiku for each of the tarot cards in the deck. Yes, all 78 cards, 3 haiku for each. Quite a daunting task, but I pulled it off. And I'm up to I did the Emperor card, I believe it was yesterday. And so today, later, will be the Hierophant. I'll be posting that. So there's good reasons to go to our Facebook page and to our Twitter page because you'll see them there. And
Daily
you'll see
content.
daily content for you. And so we should do our tarot for tomorrow.
So this is the card we pull for Friday. So we
Yep.
think about what this vibration may mean for most of our audience, or certainly someone there.
And we will discuss it tonight, but we will do a little write-up on our Facebook page.
And you
so
can
if
catch that there later
you can catch
tonight.
that there later.
On Sunday's program, I'm hoping to do another short meditation, this time for the Hierophant.
Oh yeah, you're on the Hierophant.
And in the future, I'm hoping to record some standalone vibration or meditations, specifically for more Wheel of the Year. So, for example, right around the fall equinox, I hope to have a more elaborate type of meditation to welcome in fall, and then likewise for Halloween.
Oh, did you shuffle them?
No, I'm gonna.
Yep. And yeah, I think we are going to be, you'll be seeing in the not too distant future us adding videos to our channel as well for on various tarot topics. Maybe I'll do some of my reviews that way as well, because as more and more people join us, we might do some more interactive kind of programming as well as our readings. We do our question deck. If people have not seen us work with our question deck, we'll be doing that on Sunday. And if you join us, it's a lot of fun, and we hope maybe we can engage you in the conversation as well.
So this is the card for tomorrow. This card represents the vibrations that maybe most of us will feel.
Woo!
Ooh.
No.
Changes.
Not a good day for me in the
It's
lottery,
the Wheel of Fortune
obviously.
in reverse. Clearly, there are cycles, and sometimes we ride the cycles in the best way possible, and then sometimes we're at the downward end of the cycle. This may find that tomorrow people will find luck is not quite with them. Certain mishaps may happen. Nothing overly traumatic or special, just missed connections of sorts, or maybe you had an opportunity to win something in an office raffle, but they didn't quite call your number. You know, things like that. They're not, in my opinion, super dramatic things, but they're little things where you feel like, oh, if only I was a little more lucky. Now, to be maybe more serious, it could be saying that if there are some changes that you were hoping for anywhere in the workplace, in your relationships, whatever, there may be some downturns there. They don't look like they're permanent the way I feel them. It just may be somebody's under the weather and not really as approachable, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm going to digress from you a little bit, Mr. O.
Oh,
and
you
disagree.
are,
I
Ms.
am.
B.
Because this is a major arcana card, and therefore I do think it could have some major implications. So, you know, since this card is more broad-based for our viewing audience, there may be some people that may suffer a little bit more of a setback than others. For some, it might be a minor thing. For others, it might be more major. So,
bad luck can happen to anyone and at any time, and the bad luck may be worse than others.
and so I would just say, as with all things, you know, we have to ride the ups and downs in life, and if it's something, you know, that's kind of hard to bear, just always think about what you can learn and gain from the experience. Even from the hardest experiences we go through, there's some knowledge to be gained. There's some insight. There's some direction maybe that you'll realize from it. So I'm not going to be, you know, all white light and always look at the bright side of life. No, you know, I'm not like that. But I would say to you that we have to all ride things out. It's just a fact of life. Sometimes things go wrong. And maybe, you know, you could kick yourself because maybe you caused it to happen. So just learn from it.
The wheel is a powerful card. We've used it a lot in our own work, esoterically and otherwise.
Meditations, etc.
It just has a lot of symbolic qualities. Some people feel that the four things in the corners represent Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and is that Leo? Would that be the last one? The
Smiling
lion?
soul, that's great news, but you know, don't let your guard down now. Because some things can happen, and like he said too, it could just be a minor disappointment or setback. But remember again, these readings may not affect everybody. I mean,
Or not the same way.
it is a daunting task to try to come up with something that could affect our whole viewing audience. But hey, we're up for a challenge.
Indeed. And, if anything else, the Wheel of Fortune is a wheel, and a wheel spins, and so the analogy is about time too.
That's
and
true.
so the idea is that things change over time, and so we may be in a bad slump, but we'll be in a better slump, or vice versa. We're in a better slump, and maybe we'll have a minor bad slump, but it will always come back to its previous position at some point. It's just a question of how long it'll take and how you'll weather that.
Like sands through the hourglass.
These are the days of our lives.
I used to watch that soap a lot.
I used to live it a lot.
Well, so we are now finished with the tarot for tomorrow, so we got
we'll
that
remember
done.
that, yes.
Not a happy one for a Friday, but and for my day off, my first day off, for crying out loud.
So what are we going to do now?
So what are we going to do now? We could discuss, card spreads.
Ah, yes, we were going to have a discussion.
I was going to have a discussion about card spreads today. How important are they? Obviously, here we kind of have been coming up with some spreads on the fly. We're deciding at the moment what we're going to lay out and kind of how we look as we do them. But, sometimes doing planned card spreads are good. There are a lot of books out there that have a variety of spreads in them, and people like to create their own. And as a matter of fact, as I bend down here, I have like an entire notebook of spreads that I have created. So, which I hope to put in a book someday. I've been working on it, and I'm hoping to publish them someday. And so I find them to be very important. And sometimes the way you lay them out has meaning as well. Like maybe if you're doing a spread about a promotion and whether you should ask for a promotion. Maybe you want to lay the cards out in kind of a ladder spread to show yourself climbing a ladder to success. So I think also the way you lay the cards out has meaning for yourself, or if you're reading for others, the person that you're reading for.
It's kind of like having an outline to follow.
Right.
And positions help you hone in the energies of the card to a particular situation. So it's formatting, it's an outline. But on the other hand, we're also talking about the idea that some people don't necessarily work with spreads. Some people just think about something and pull a card, and then they try to figure out what it means and what the context is that should be applied. So there is that. And sometimes people may pull more than one card to do that. And whether they realize it or not, they may actually just be inventing and reading as they go along.
Well, and now with the Lenormand, for example, I've learned a variety of smaller spreads, but with the Lenormand, there's the petit tableau, and then there's the grand tableau. They lay out all 36 cards in a rectangular formation or square formation, and read the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. And that is quite an intense reading. I wouldn't do that reading more than once a year, frankly, or maybe every 6 months at if you got to do it more than once.
There are readings like that in tarot too, grand cross readings, grand readings where literally you may spread 30 cards out of the entire deck or more perhaps.
Or the only other reason is if you're going to do it more frequently, some reading like the Grand Tableau and the Lenormand, I would do it, focused on a particular area. In other words, I might lay all the cards out, but I'm looking for key indicators as far as maybe relationships go, or as far as maybe health goes, things of that nature. And I'm not focusing on the entire picture, just a particular part or subject, of the reading, of the spread.
And so we're also talking about the idea too that there are some readings that demand larger amount of cards because they are a more comprehensive reading. And I'm aware of this in certain variations of what would be called a horoscope or zodiac spread, where you deal a card around in a clock or a zodiac formation. But some people will actually deal 3 cards into each house.
I have done
so that's
that.
a 36 card spread.
Yes, I have done that.
And I think I've done that too, but I don't do those ones very regular. I might do them years and years at a time. But then it gives you a lot more detail because you know that the second house is about your money and possessions, and you have 3 cards, and so it's giving you more information about all those aspects that are going on in your financial part of your life.
Right, right. And I found the 3-card thing to be very helpful because sometimes 1 card is not enough. And what I have done with my yearly spreads is I've done the zodiac reading which you speak, and I use 3 cards for each house of the zodiac. But then I've also done another reading with 1 card for each of the months of the year and a final card that is the focus of the year. So that is really a nice way to do yearly spread as well.
Smiling Soul has an interesting comment.
Make your own cards. You can do it on,
Blank playing cards.
yeah,
and I
that's
think,
true.
I think I know people that have done that in a way.
Actually, we do. We know
Yeah.
somebody who made their own tarot deck.
Yeah, well, we've probably known a few people to do that.
It's a little X-rated, which is why we don't show it here.
But Smiling Soul, what you're talking about is almost similar in a way to Banshee's concept of the question deck. In a way.
In a
I
way.
mean, she uses that as a horse before the cart or cart before the horse as a way of pulling in that information from the card. But yes, then the opposite could be that way too. You know, you
No,
could
you
just
can create your own fortune things for sure. That's an awesome idea. I have not gone that route yet, but I have created my own interpretation. I have, now that I think about it.
long ago.
No, what I've done is I've done things where I've created affirmations and things on slips of paper, almost like a fortune cookie in a way, and I've maybe put them in a bag. And I've had people draw from them. Remember, I've done that at
Yeah.
particular events we've been
Yeah.
at. And so I have created my own interpretations or my own affirmations and had people do that. So I've not done it with images. I am not artsy fartsy. I can't draw stick figures if my life depended on it, but I can write. I can write pretty well.
I just had a great idea though about a stick figure tarot.
It's been done.
Oh.
There actually has been a stick figure tarot.
So
I don't know if it's
you're
ever
an
been
artist
published.
too, Smiling Soul? You do your own drawing apparently?
Oh, I'm going to do mine to display
If you
my
ever
art.
get some up, maybe you can show them to us
What an
sometime.
awesome idea. Love it.
Well, we've known several people too, because remember we knew Donald, Laughing Star Heart? He had designed his own tarot too. It had, as I recall, more than 20. He only did a major arcana, and it had more cards because he had other concepts. Like he had a specific card for the Phoenix, as I recall, and he had a specific card for, I think it was alchemy as a concept, like temperance.
Painting. Well, you know, we have artists in our family as well. So that's awesome. And our granddaughter created our little avatars that we use for our website. At age 13, she is quite the artist already. She does digital and she paints and draws as well. So
I'm curious. You mentioned painting and being artistic, or at least to us that sounds artistic. And you've also mentioned Fashion Week. So do you do design work with clothing too? Do you make designs for clothing or something similar to that? Would be curious to know that. What you doing, Banshee?
I'm just shuffling. I will send you the deck when I get it done. Right now, I'm still trying to figure it out. Awesome.
And on our live stream, we would be very happy to showcase other people's decks and give them full attribution for that, and maybe help you, promote it more that way too. So that would be wonderful if you can share that with us. We'll look
So
forward
is
to
this
that.
going to be a version of a tarot, or is this going to be just a your own oracle, your own idea for an oracle deck?
And yeah, we have thoughts about eventually designing our own deck, but we're going to probably
We don't want to give that one away.
we're probably going to
too
use
much.
our very talented daughter-in-law and granddaughter to help us with that, or we think we are. We'll have to pay them good, but you know what? They are worth it.
Well, And I'm always looking for collaborators on projects as well that I'm working on. Maybe at some point I can communicate with you about some of that on the side.
Well, who knows? You may be able to take that
Ah.
up again in the future. But it sounds to me like you're very talented.
Yeah. I would say, if that's your passion, keep your hand in it, keep it going.
And curious as it is, with Fashion Week coming up, because I know that, my fall display at a place that I
Are you going to
display.
explain, because you're talking about displays, you've never explained fully what you do.
Yeah. I collect and display Barbie dolls and similar fashion dolls and
And
similar
other dolls.
other dolls.
He's got
Some
monster
people
dolls.
call them action figures, but they're
Vampire
all dolls to
dolls.
me. So I thought you wanted me to explain.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So,
Wow, talk about putting me in my place.
no, I just don't want you
Teasing,
saying things that
teasing.
aren't true necessarily.
Well, I know your collection, though, don't I?
Yes, you do. But you're emphasizing the monsters, and I'm trying to talk about Fashion Week.
Okay, well, talk about
Because
fashion. Week.
my display in September, which I knew early September is Fashion Week, I decided that one of the places I display at about 4 or 5 places, I was going to just do my fashion collection, because normally I do holiday themes, Halloween, spring, other themes, and I thought I have not just displayed fashion dolls. Well, actually, I did this display a couple months ago somewhere else, but now I'm going to display it again for a second time. So maybe I'll post a picture too on our Facebook page, TFT. But there was, like I mentioned earlier, a specific outfit I bought for a doll that was called Fashion Week. And maybe I can dig that one out and actually put that on a Barbie doll and display that one too. So that's very inspiring to hear about Fashion Week, and I like it. What are we doing?
What are we doing? It's now 8:46, so do we want to open it up for more
Yes, if
readings or
anybody
questions?
is anybody still there and would like to give us a question?
I'm making my own. That will be great. I don't know or understand the tarot cards at all, but I came up with the question,
Who's your future spouse
future
cards?
spouse cards? Okay.
You know what? That reminds me, when I first started reading tarot cards way back in the 1970s, one of the first things I learned how to do was, to some degree, about 80% of the time, was to predict the outcome of a person's pregnancy in terms of gender. Now, these days, I guess somebody would say, well, maybe it's got to be a no gender. I don't know. But back then,
It's complicated today.
back then,
It's
I had a
complicated.
way of doing the cards, and I would say, oh, I think you're going to have a boy child, or I think you're going to have a girl child. And like I said, I was right about 80% of the time. So that was kind of interesting to me. But, that was in the 70s, when I and most of my sibs and cousins and other folks were of the age of having children. And so these days, I don't know too many people my own age having children. So nobody's really asked me, what is my baby going to be? Will my baby be female or male? And like I said, now it'll be complicated by other choices.
Well,
Not complicated, just different.
just to touch on what you said here, Smiling Soul, I have just to give you an example of some of the things you might be able to do with this concept that you're working on. I have a deck that is related to reincarnation. Now, why I'm bringing that up is because this deck is a very multifaceted deck. And so it's about past lives, but how they do it is basically part of there's different segments to the deck. One pack in the deck is relating to where you might have lived. Another one is what your occupation might have been. And another one, I can't remember all of them
How you
offhand. But
died.
yeah, I'm telling this story, dear. And another one might be how, you died. And so the thing is that if you're looking at your future spouse and who your future spouse might be, you might look at it in a multifaceted way like that and come up with, maybe personality, occupation, or interests, things like that. You could have a multifaceted deck in that regard, where people could pull different cards for different facets. So it's an interesting concept. I don't know if that's what you had in mind per se, but it might open up some other doors for you to think about it that way. Someday I'll bring out my reincarnation deck, because actually that one is one of the best ones that they've made. I don't know of too many out there. I have 3 that deal with the concept of reincarnation and past lives. But this one definitely really struck me for its depth and the way it thought of the different areas, that you could look at. Like it wasn't just one card telling you lived during a certain time. Oh, that was one of the cards was what time period you lived in. So, but one of my other decks, literally one card would have it all on it. Whereas this one, you draw from different piles to put that all together. It's really quite fascinating.
Well, in our closing minutes, what I would like to also mention on with that too is that eventually we're probably going to want to do other things besides tarot cards. So maybe Banshee will be showing the reincarnation deck. I have only a few non-tarot decks that I work with. Banshee's more likely to be the person working with different styles or types of divination. But I think that over the coming months, we'll show some of those occasionally. And I also think too, and maybe this is a small conversation, is I would like to be talking about the other uses of tarot cards, because we all know tarot cards are being used for divination, but to some degree they can be used in different applications too. There's been a number of books over the last 20 or so years about how people might use the concepts, archetypes, energies of the cards to do things like spells or moving energy towards a goal,
Prayers, spells,
affirmations,
meditations, journeys,
or more elaborate rituals where the ceremony is about that concept of exploring maybe more of a progression of the tarot cards, i.e. the journey
of the fool. And that's
we've done
actually
that.
what I've done. I did
We
do
did that.
Right, a gathering once where we did that, and also I had created a tarot reading spread specifically for that, and I created my own interpretations for the major. It was a major arcana only spread, and I created the interpretations for all the cards, major arcana cards, in each of the positions of that spread. It was quite a daunting task, and I'm actually thinking of publishing that someday as well. So that's just some of the stuff we're thinking of tackling ahead. And you know what? I didn't finish a thought with the spread reading. And what I would like to add with the spread reading is that, spread discussion, is that, sometimes when people are talking to you and they're bringing up their issues, like maybe on the chat and stuff, a reader may just pull a card on the spot and just randomly just start answering the questions that way and go with the flow of the conversation as opposed to having a set spread in mind. Hey, however you get your inspiration and your intuition, I say run with it. There's no tried or true method to me except what an intuitive person feels is right.
Yes, and eons ago, I think it was in one of our bio videos where we talked about ourselves, and these were videos that were just added to our YouTube channel, not as part of the live stream, but just other information about us. But I had talked about some of my earliest forays into tarot reading was a project where I interviewed a couple people about their methods and compared them to each other. And one of the things that came out was literally that the one person I interviewed, he did that. He just would draw cards randomly, and he would create the story or the pattern from how he pulled the cards. And I think that just takes at least moderate intuitiveness, but also the ability to just really relax and let the pictures tell you the story that they're trying to.
Right. And so if you join us on Sunday and you participate in our question deck discussion, that's an opportunity to let the images take you someplace and help us answer the burning questions that are in my question deck.
Are you
also
posting the haiku to the Twitter?
Yes,
Okay.
Smiling Soul, thank you for saying you'll be following on Twitter. I will be posting those haiku on Twitter as well. And eventually, maybe I'll start letting out some of my other stuff, like my Journey of the Fool. However, some of it I'm saving because I'm thinking of publishing someday. I think the Journey of the Fool, for example, the story that I've created might make a good children's or young adult. I think it's a young adult to adult style book that I might come up with someday. And it might involve some illustrations for sure. Some illustrations might be needed.
And your haiku project has kind of inspired me as well, Banshee, because
really?
because I do consider myself a poet. I'm not as voluminous as you are, but I didn't have lots of experience with haiku. But maybe over the last 10 years, I've been feeling more comfortable about haiku. And so I think that maybe I would like to add my own occasional tarot haiku, and maybe you'll print them and just attribute that to me.
Well, of course, I would attribute that to you. But also, smiling.
Thank you.
Smiling Soul. Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Junior Goddess. Smiling Soul. If you are interested in poetry in general, there's another person I'm following on Twitter called Tarot Poems, I believe, and they have been putting out some really awesome poetry as far as the tarot goes. This person will take two cards together, and I don't know if they're just pulling them at random and coming up with the poems. However they're doing it, it's been pretty awesome reading them, and I've been enjoying them immensely. And so I'm following them as well, so they might be a good person to check out.
I really appreciate the compliments from everybody. I don't know how to explain it other than to say that in some ways I feel that when I'm reading for somebody without really sitting from them, something just kind of goes into an overdrive, and maybe it's spirit or maybe it's just my own intuition, but it always seems like we do pretty well. And
It's just his excuse for hogging conversation. Ooh.
you say that like it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. We are a team.
The Team Supreme.
The Team Supreme. Okay, that's too much. That's over the top now. Now we're getting carried away.
Well, we were happy to read for everybody tonight. It was really gratifying, and last time we had more clients in our chat too. So
And we keep growing, and
We're
we hope to
growing, and
continue
we
to
like
keep
that. We
growing.
appreciate
And
that.
we appreciate you. And if you can get the word out about us and bring more people on board, the more the merrier. We can have some lively, engaging conversations about the tarot and play some interesting games as well as do readings.
yes, I'm sure that tarot games played with the chat room of several people would be very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yes. So our next live stream will be Sunday, Eastern Standard Time from 2 to 4 p.m. I will be doing my meditation and my card reading for the week. We may have other discussions going on.
We will
and
definitely
readings.
have the question deck, I think, that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Of course, we're going to be in the territory of the hurricane by then. So we're going to have to see, maybe get an update on that and see how things are going. And I wish the best for you down in Florida, Smiling Soul. I hope
Please
things go
do
well.
let us know if things
and be
are
careful.
okay. Appreciate that.
And thank you, Junior Goddess. And I'm sorry our cats have disappeared. They have abandoned us for the night. They can't say goodbye tonight, but I'm sure they all wish you well as well.
Well, you know what it is? They realize that we have some important work to do, and while we weren't quite
give
getting people into the chat room right away at first, now they realize, like, this is our role, this is what we do, and they will get plenty of attention from us later. You know, there's one of them that he's such a dear. He always wakes me up before the alarm clock to come and feed him. You gotta love that.
Methinks he gives the cats way too much credit there, for sure.
They
It
just
has
want
nothing
to
to
be
do with that, but I think they
You're
finally got the
welcome.
message today.
You're all very welcome. Thank you for subscribing, Mr. Gerard, if you're still out there. Thank you, the Floyd, for
The
sharing
Floyd for sharing with
your
us
thoughts.
today.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. So
Sta-
cool.
and yeah, and David Bowie too. Awesome.
Awesome. Yes. So.
Yes. All right. Take care, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Alrighty. Oberon and Banshee, Divine Dabblings, saying Check us out again.
Bye bye.